War in the Middle East, artificial intelligence, and how does that tie into real estate? Well, I'm going to get you updated on that starting right now. This is KW Real Estate News and Views for the week of March 23rd. We're near the end of the first quarter. Real estate markets continued being slow. We've got a war going on in the Middle East, and I'd be doing a bit of a deep dive into artificial intelligence. Anyways, AI, as anybody who has been mucking around with ChatGPT or the other ones out there, Grok, etc., it's really come a long way. Just last week, I had some coding issues in the back end of my website I wanted fixed. I asked Google's Gemini, I'm a subscriber, fixed up the code in 2 seconds. I copied and pasted it, put it into my server, boom, perfect. That's how good it is. Anyways, how's that tie into this war we got going on with Iran and house prices here in Canada? Well, I asked AI for what it thought about what's going on with the war, inflation, housing market, our water crisis in Waterloo Region. It kind of puts everything together in its entirety, because how these things work, they're known as large language models, and they've got crawler bots that scrape the entirety of the internet. So they've basically read everything out there that people have written. Well, there's economists and history people and housing market people, experts writing about things. TD economists, for example, putting out papers on the housing market. AI reads all that stuff and kind of spits out the best version it thinks about subjects. So I asked it, first off, what's going to happen with this war? High oil prices, is that inflationary or deflationary as far as house prices goes? I got an answer for that. It wasn't local enough. So then I tied into it, well, what about our Kitchener-Waterloo water capacity issue that I talked about a few videos ago? How's that play into it? Anyways, the answers it came up with made complete sense. And they're kind of surprising at the same time how accurate they are. Because of course myself, I pay attention to economics from a business. I have to. I'm kind of an expert on data myself for the housing market because I've got access to it. And as well, I've been a huge student of history for years and years and years, and I know what's going on geopolitically in the world. So the answers that Google's Gemini gave me, I thought were bang on. I'm going to start off with the war, of course, because that's in everybody's mind. The war is inflationary. And we've already seen that right now with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Oil prices are now over $100 a barrel. There's been a bunch of damage to energy infrastructure, both in Iran from the IDF and from the Americans bombing them, but then of course in the other Gulf countries as well, because Iran has retaliated. According to Total, that can take several years for this stuff to get repaired. And in the long or short term with this war, regardless of how long it takes to come to some kind of conclusion, we've got inflationary pressure due to what has already happened that's likely to last a number of years. So that's the first thing. Obviously, for the Canadian housing market, that's not a good thing. We're in a market where we've got softening prices, and now all of a sudden with inflation, for the first time, buyers are actually potentially looking at increased borrowing costs if the Bank of Canada has to respond to high inflation by raising rates. Now that's kind of a bit of a surprise, isn't it? House prices come down, but nope, all of a sudden, no, it's costing you more to borrow. Double whammy on top of that, Alberta and Newfoundland, well, they're going to do great from high energy prices because they've got oil. The rest of the country is going to take it on the chin, and we're looking at higher gas costs, we're looking at higher food costs. You look right now already, we're at $1.68 a liter last time I filled up. Apparently Vancouver was over $2. So that's real pressure on the pocketbook of people trying to buy houses. So that overall on prices is a downward pressure, no question about it. Here's a twist to the whole thing though. What they talked about, what Google's Gemini rather talked about with Waterloo Region housing market. Now this is really interesting. As I said, we've got a huge water capacity crisis in the Mannheim service area. We're short, hundreds and hundreds of liters per second for water capacity that we're supposed to be supplying and we can't. And the region has paused new building permits. They're not allowing new development until we get this water capacity issue solved. Short term, a year and a half. Longer term, they're talking spending over $100 million. Now that, right now, our housing market is well supplied. We've got lots of stuff for sale. We've got lots of stuff being built. And if you want to go buy a house or especially buy a condo, there's lots for sale. You can go out and get that. What about a couple years down the road though? That's where things get interesting. As right now, developers are already telling the region, hey, you know, this doesn't get sorted out, we're going to lay people off. We'll throw the war into that as well. Now you've got, for the region, increased costs due to all the things I just mentioned, and the potential for an economic slowdown. And these builders and repair guys that are going to do the water system, they're not building, they can't do the repairs at cost. All that puts upward pressure on prices in the region. And I'm going to say 2-3 years down the road, it's not likely this water capacity situation is going to be solved quick enough. And definitely we're going to see upward prices 2 or 3 years from now, but not right now. So that is an interesting situation for real estate right now, this year, 2026. What's going on? Buyers are in the driver's seat like they have been for a year. Maybe more so now. They've got choice, but now they're also faced with kind of a not good choice. Okay, do you wait for prices to fall? But at the same time, if you wait and the Bank of Canada raises rates, well, now it costs you more to borrow. So they're in a real bind. Things are good right now. You could get a house cheaper, but it might cost you more. So that's the future thing 6 months out, maybe a year out, that buyers are faced with. For sellers, it's what I've been saying again and again and again. You've got to price it right. Get a realtor who knows his data. If you overprice in this market, it's death for you, basically. You've got to get it priced right. You got to have it looking fantastic. That means staging. That means media. So I don't mean photography alone. I mean video as well. Have somebody that knows how to do social media. Have somebody who knows how to get it on MLS and then on all the other platforms so you get top dollar for your house. That's the reality we're looking at right now with the war going on in Iran and the housing market here in Waterloo Region. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.